Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. Right. This study of this lovely bird, I hope you can see it looking out at you, started years ago, possibly a little bit by accident, but nonetheless it's developed, not by accident, it's developed over some considerable time. So here's a peekaboo duck. It's watching us from one of our nest boxes, which I'll now tell you are called tawny duck boxes. Now that is because my son said, oh, the only thing you'll get in those, Dad, is tawny owls. Well, we have tawny owls and ducks in them, so not necessarily at the same time. Although even that can be contradicted, as you'll see shortly. Right. And this is the only picture you're going to see of a male goldeneye duck, because we don't catch goldeneye males. We see them at a distance. But really, a lot of this research is based on female ducks. I like this title because I like scientific names. Bucephala clangula. That's its lovely, fantastic name. Okay, as I say, I like scientific names, so forgive me just this little bit here. Bucephala is ancient Greek, describing the distinctive head, the shape of the head of the goldeneye. And clangula is also Greek and describes the sound, which this is your only sound effect you're going to get. So there you are, Bucephala clangula, or the common goldeneye. Now, this is on the River Breamish, the Breamish Valley. Those of you who know Northumberland will know from Hedgley, near Cowburn, and up the valley to Ingram and beyond. That's the Breamish Valley. And it's the only colony that we know about of breeding goldeneye in England. Some of you will know, bird watchers will know that there are 200 odd pairs in Scotland. But this is the only colony in England. And there's some thank yous on there, including to Chris, who helped with the computer processing, and various other individuals. So, thank you now in advance. Okay. So, traditionally, every birdwatcher knows that goldeneye are a winter visitor. Lots and lots of them come to the British Isles. Many of them just stay off the coast. But they're not a breeding bird. What they are is a winter visitor. Lots of them in Scotland, in Ireland, around our coast. Although winter numbers are falling. I don't know why that is, and that's another story for someone else to research. But as a what you might call natural, normal breeding bird, they occur in the taiga. Now, if anyone happened to see recent BBC film Life in the Freezer, you know that the taiga is somewhat colder than Britain normally, but that sort of part halfway to the Arctic, but not quite, is perhaps mirrored in the cairngorms in Scotland, a little bit, and that maybe explains the breeding population there. But that forest you know, it's further north than Kangaroo normally. But there they are. So you get Speyside breeding, D-side, a little from Tayside. And then, if you come down to Northern Ireland and to the Republic, there's breeding Goldeneye there. Okay. I'm told that in Scotland there's competition for nest cavities with tawny owls, mandarin ducks, and there's predation from pine martens. Now, some of you may know that some people wish to encourage pine martens in Northumberland. I have mixed views about that, but then I'm biased because of the Goldeneye. There are some. And a pair did breed in Avon in Bristol in 2010, but apparently that was just a fairly random occurrence. It hasn't reoccurred. So here's a bit of a sketch of the Breamish Valley. I will mention Hedgley, which is the other side of the road. So that side of the road. But otherwise, Brampton and Ingram and up the valley. And anyone who knows about this colony, and certainly over the last few years it's developed and become much more obvious, probably thinks that the Goldeneye are on Brampton, on the two pools there, ex-gravel pits. And that's certainly where the female birds end up where they go. But I can tell you now, they're distributed rather more broadly than just those pools. Anyway, I knew, as many local people did, that Goldeneye were increasingly being seen in the Breamish Valley. But as far as we knew, they weren't breeding. No one had ever seen any chicks prior to 2000 and so. But Hugh and I went round some Goldeneye boxes on Speyside with the RSPB, and we were taking around some boxes and showing the boxes. That didn't immediately lead to anything. I was working up an idea. I started to talk to Sean Hackett, some of you know, National Park Ranger. He suggested, well, we could put some boxes up. So we did, we put some boxes up on posts. They were very, very in the open. So obvious that I think they probably frightened the birds away rather than encouraging them, but we did try. They weren't used. I followed up with two boxes in trees close to the river. I was thinking more about how they were in Scotland, in Spey Valley. So we followed that habitat. A little bit of woodland by a river. Guess what? We got some tawny owls. However, 2010, we got the first Goldeneye. 10x? Lovely. But, in fact, she didn't incubate them. Now that has proved to be a regular pattern. It's quite common for a young Goldeneye duck to lay some eggs, but then not incubate them the first time. So, anyway, we persisted. She definitely bred in 2011. And she was breeding. So there's the boxes. Just in scruffy bits of woodland. Very much a tawny owl box to anyone who's sort of glancing at it. The only difference, which I can't really show you a picture of, is that they are scored on the inside of the boxes, just to give somewhere for the duckling to climb out. So that's the only thing, and the owls can't tell if they're scored or not. So there's our first bird, ringed. F836953. Very small bird. You know, Goldeneye are beautiful little birds, but they're not very big at all. Carried on, 10 eggs. And it was lovely that she was actually seen with a ring on by a bird watcher, two bird watchers, from a little hide at Brampton, with a ring on, chasing a tufted duck, who apparently she's perceived as a threat to a brood, but she was actually seen. Anyway, put some more boxes up. An AC bred, AC simply refers to the fact that we did Darwin ring, the classic ring, and it was AC on the ring. So AC bred more or less successfully right up to 2017. Little problems we've developed? A squirrel. We found out that squirrels like to go in boxes in the winter, although by about March they're cleared off, they're not there at all. They of course don't take their nest with them, so we have to make sure in sort of end of February, March, that we take any squirrel nests out because the duck is incapable of taking them out themselves. And more boxes have gone up progressively. But there's the ducks. They're lovely things. And there's some eggs in basically what I put in, which is some wood shavings, and then the female plucks the breast feathers and makes the nest. And it's extremely common, and this has happened several times when I've taken maybe a trainee with me, and they've sort of checked the box and said, there's no eggs in there. And I've always said, well, have you felt down? And just underneath, invariably, there are some eggs. It's very obvious when there's 10, 12, 14 eggs. But maybe there's only 1, 2 or 3, because they take a long time to lay all these eggs, and people miss the eggs. And they're quite big eggs. But nonetheless, people don't realise the eggs are there. So there's one of those nice female ducks. And those are young ones. I do like them, little humbugs. Now, that first female was the only breed female for a couple of years. Then we got another one. And I've been there after the breeding season. What we do is we go around at the end of June or early July and check the boxes for eggs that have not hatched. And, you know, those are the eggs. There's huge findings of eggs. And that first one nested, second one 2 years later, but she, same thing, didn't incubate the first time, did the following year. So, AC nests in 2015, new birds in a neighbouring box, and then it builds up slowly. And we get some boxes near the River Breamish, and also near Rodham, which is just slightly to the north, just a mile or so. Anyway, we had some discussion at the Scottish Birdbringers Conference with people who know more about nesting waterfowl than I do, and talked to Tony Fox, Carl Mitchell, and we hatched the idea, of putting some loggers on these, geologgers. We discovered that, in fact, the Wildlife Development Trust had put some loggers on with the RSPB, very early loggers, and they found that the birds had gone, after the breeding season, they'd gone to Strangford Loch in Northern Ireland, and another bird had gone to Caithness, and one bird went to Norway. So there were simple loggers, and they have come on since then. But that was interesting. So we proposed to fix some loggers. 4 birds were going to be selected. Now, if you don't know quite what a logger is, if you get too much information from some natural history programs on television, you think these things are absolutely wonderful and marvellous and tell you absolutely everything. Well, you know, it's a bit more complicated than that. But loggers have to be retrieved. That's the main thing. So you put it on a bird. The following year, you've got to get it off the bird before it can be analysed. That's an important thing. But Goldeneye are great because they're very science faithful. Even if they don't go in the same box, they never go in the next box. You know, they don't go very far. So they're very science faithful. It means they come back, so loggers actually work quite well. And we got some funding from this society and also some other people. Thank you very much. Local naturalist societies in Northumberland, also the National Park, and we got some funding to start this process off. Thank you, because that's what we need. So, there's a logger. Chris and I had great fun trying to work out how these would fit on, because that's a little Darvik ring which is going to go on foot. There we are. And it's got to be able to sort of turn on foot and not hurt the bird. So that's how it's done. That one's 18. And there we go. And I do like this picture because you can actually see the logger and the Darvik on that female. Okay, 2016. The colony is developing. AC nests, 12 eggs and ducklings. Note that 8 ducklings on the 2nd of the 5th, only 2 by the 21st. The attrition on young ducklings is amazing. Everything eats them, from big fish to herons to gulls, otters, stoats, mink, whatever. You know, things do eat them, I'm afraid. Anyway, AH has 9 ducklings, and that gets a lot of fitted. Another one near Rodham, 10 eggs, but never incubated them, presumably a young bird. And ADNS, 6 ducklings, that one had a lot on as well. So there's one of them, one of my trainees. I think he's in tonight. I know who it is. Anyway, so here's the Tawny buck boxes at the start of 2017. There's 2 at Hesley, 3. Number 3 is at the caravan site, Brampton Lakes, Ingram National Park Centre, near Ingram, all the way up the valley. Have to be checked in March, as I mentioned. Then we get the squirrel nest out. We add wood shavings, and we do repairs. Now, 2017, AC apparently nests, but doesn't incubate. AC is at this point maybe 8 years old, and possibly the victim of egg dumping. Now, this is something that seems to happen where the bird lays 10 eggs, 12 eggs, maybe of its own, but then another bird comes in and lays some eggs. And the original bird doesn't really tolerate this. And generally, if the egg numbers build up to sort of a number that she considers unreasonable, they just deserve their incubator. We missed the next one, but we reckon it succeeded. AH moved upriver, but to a different box. And the sort of sad one there, the last one, we reckon hatched, but was the young which was lost in floods, which has happened to occur on Goldeneye. Right. 2017. AA nested in Rodham, 5 ducklings, down to 3. But they're quite large, so we reckon those 3 will probably fledge quite successfully. Another new bird nest, but was on a completely different timescale. Those first 2 were in boxes, sort of there and there, very close boxes, but they're completely different timescale. I remember we went to the first box and we ringed the female, and I had a couple of trainees with me and said, "Oh, just go and check that neighbouring box." And they were sort of cock-a-hoop because they found another Goldeneye that hadn't been there when we first checked around. There was a box at Brampton, very public place where various people could see the box, and that was never incubated then. But another box at Brampton, it's only a very public place, but has a new bird. But that one was weird because it was apparently incubating, but didn't hatch the eggs, so they were halfway through. Now we don't know why that was, but maybe there was some disturbance involved, a human disturbance. Okay, so we have to collect all sightings from bird watchers, we have to visit the boxes around the expected hatching dates, and we have to count unhatched eggs at the end of the breeding season. And we try to match up hatching dates with sightings. So a bird watcher tells me, "Oh, I've seen 14 new ducklings." Well, if there's 14, they've only just come out of the box. And so you sort of try to catch up this information, add it all together, so you work out which young with the female have come out of which box. It's difficult, but after a while you get to understand how to do it. A good sign when you go to a box is if you see that feather down mixed in just at the edge of the box, and you think, this box is occupied, or has been occupied. A broken eggshell there. behind, others hatched. And that's an unhatched, unincubated brood. So 2017, there was the usage. Tony Owl in one, Jackdaw in another, and then an empty one, then Brampton, Goldeneye, Owls, Goldeneye, up the river, Goldeneye, Tawny, and an empty one. Ingram, Goldeneye empty, National Park Centre, there was a Jackdaw. Ingram, 2 Goldeneye and a Tawny, rather than Goldeneye. So, and these boxes, we started to put them in threes, which seemed to work quite well, because an owl would occupy one, a Goldeneye would occupy the others. However, big disappointment. The loggers didn't work. They were faulty. And the company, to their credit, agreed to supply 4 new ones. But, you know, somewhat puts you back in time. However, Northumberland Tyneside Bird Club then decided they would pay for more loggers, so the thing would build up, we'd get more information, which was great. But it was a disappointment. We lost any case the first time round. Okay. So there's one of the females. Chris Wright's hiding behind that picture, you can't see. 2018, new bird nest at Brampton. 10 eggs. This one only has four young, 4 eggs. You don't understand that. Whereas the next one, 14 eggs, 14 ducklings. Marvellous. AD in 2016 has a logger retrieve, but redeployed as BB, so we have to put another log on. And we fitted new logs. This one here, last one, 2016, 2017, logger retrieve, and we start the process again. Another new bird arrives. Another bird lays just 1 egg in the box. Or never incubated. And 10. But they start to develop. Number 11, this is a good one, and there's a couple of witnesses to this in the audience tonight. Bird lays 4 eggs in the box, subsequently usurped by a tawny owl. The tawny owl gets the box it wants. It doesn't attack the duck, but it decides which box it wants, and then the duck has to move. And in this particular case, it happened when the duck had already laid some eggs. Anyway, so there's the single duckling and the tawny owl. And Ben's here tonight, who was the first who started laughing up the ladder when he said, "There's a duck in this box and an owl," or whatever. This is a rather strange situation, and legally one doesn't know quite what to do. However, what I actually did was rescue the duckling, took it out to Brampton Pools, weighed it out as far as I possibly could in the water, and launched it in the direction of a brood of ducklings that had already hatched. And it joined up with them. It just joined up, it crashed up with them. Now, we've no idea what happened after that. I do know the next morning it was still alive, because we counted the ducklings and I went back to check. And counted, I found the brood, and it got the right number of ducklings. After that, no. So, 2018, there's the tawny duck boxes. Tawny owl, empty box, Goldeneye, Jackdaw, Goldeneye, tawny owl, Jackdaw, Goldeneye, 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 another tawny owl, Jackdaw, Goldeneye. That's the thing dividing. We searched in 2018, so we started retrieving some loggers, but we are picking replacements. And there's the strain one. Successful nest 6 plus 1 duck accidentally raised at an owl nest. And I don't know if I recorded that as a Goldeneye duck nest or what. It's rather strange getting that into the video system. But I did tell people about it. There was 106 eggs in total, 62 ducklings. But we reckoned that maybe only 13 got to the flying stage. So there's some little ducklings with the female. So I do like these. 2019, more boxes. We had added some boxes. We checked in March for flood damage and squirrels. A box had fallen down, another one actually was in the river, which we got back and put up. 2019. That one, AH at the very top, you see, it nested upriver in 2015, 16, 17, 18. And then it moved over the A697 to Headsley, you know, a few miles, but it moved with it. Don't worry, but it was quite happy. Surprise bird nest in a regulatory site. Green traps. Green trap from Rotherham. And the last one, another bird. Another bird. We didn't even see that bird, but another bird laid 13 eggs in the box. And we think that was a new one. It's never incubated, but she did lay eggs.
That's two more sets of, three more sets of eggs and
Yeah.
not incubated.
Yeah. So there's usage. Still this assortment of Goldeneye and the odd tawny owl and the nuisance jackdaws. So 2018 loggers retrieved in 2019 from 3 birds down. 2017 loggers retrieved, total nest records 11, successful nest 5. We also measured the temperature in the boxes this time. Really, when they're incubating, it's hot. It's noticeably hot in the box. And you may be familiar with those checkers we used on people's airports during COVID. Well, we had one of those checkers on a box and we just sort of used it in the box. 136 eggs, 40 ducklings, probably about 11 flying. So back to those loggers, because we were starting to get some results now. So these are small, weigh very little, a battery, a sensor, a clock, and a memory chip. They record light levels. And basically, we are able to plot latitude and longitude from the loggers. That's the important thing. So let's go on and see what the chart tells us. And that's part of the output. Now that's not very user friendly, but this Goldeneye flew to a position approximately 51 degrees north by longitude -9 degrees west, southwest island. So there, that was a plot of information. So we had to turn that into something really useful. Now this is the first output you get. So they started me collecting the logger. That went to Chris. Chris processed the information, went to my son, Hugh, and he started to draw some maps. But this is sort of one of the outputs. We didn't feel this was over helpful. It is very difficult to understand. There's the Southwest Island. So Alison had a go at it, and we turned it into, not quite an animation, but I think if you follow it through, you'll see what they're doing. So, there's duck age, reading 17th, 5th, 15, and the logger is retrieved in 12th, 5th, 17. So there's that duck, from Greenish to Island. Now, please don't get the idea that these are pinpoint accurate. They're not. These are approximate locations. Again, the TV would have you believe these are pinpoint accuracy. Well, they're not. But nonetheless, they do give you a pretty good idea where they've gone. So, let's do it. Then it went back to Rutland. Keep going, Alison. Back to Island. They move. Goldeneye outside the breeding season do not reside in a single place. They keep moving. They clearly like the Irish Sea and around. But then it decided to go to Scotland. Still in Scotland, but the other side. And if you look at the movements building up, the point is it ends up back at the British because they're very sign faithful. We go on to another one? Well, hang on, that gives you the track. Okay. AA. Goes to Spain. Or Spain then. Carries on further north. The point is they're off the sea, or over the sea, and you do see Goldeneye on the sea quite a lot. Comes back and goes to sort of these large lakes. These are diving ducks, so they want to dive down, they want to eat small, tiny little crustaceans, arthropods and the like. They don't eat fish, they eat very small little arthropods. People may be aware of seeing them on Loch of Lowes. I've certainly seen them on Loch of Lowes in the autumn. Loch Garten, similar. Back to the British. Quite early back to the British. Another one. First year. This one decided to go to Norway. But then it decided Ireland was a better bet. They do like Ireland. There's definitely something about Ireland. Went up to Speyside. Now you may notice that some of them are moving, leaving the nesting sites in sort of May, June. And you might think, well, they're abandoning their young. They are to some extent, but what happens is, after the young females have taken the young birds onto pools, particularly the Grantham pools, what happens is they join up in a crash. And some birds stay around, but they aren't necessarily the actual parents of the ducks. They're a group of females plus the odd male in a group, and it's a crash. And that's how the ducklings develop for some time. But their own parent female may well have gone flying. So there's the movements.
This is the second year.
Second year, same duck, because we didn't get the tracker back the first time. Moving down, across to the sea. Now, the logger had stopped at this point, but it did get back to the bridge, so we're not sure what track it took. But nonetheless, the logger gains information. Another one with the first year. This one liked the coast, but went in Scotland before coming back to the coast again off Yorkshire, maybe the reservoir. I'm not guaranteeing the pinpoint accuracy of this. I think it probably went to the sea. Went to the Breamish briefly, but decided, well, I'm not going to stay here in September, I'm going to go further south. Went all the way further south to the Avon. Went to Wales. Eventually moved back up. And you think at that point it will probably go to the Breamish, but he didn't. It's still flying around. It's going to have a year off breeding. Going up and down that North Sea coast. They are quite amazing movements. Second year, you realise it will get back this year, else how else would I have got the logger back? But still pass around. Yeah. You see, it doesn't do what you think it's going to do. However, the logger stopped in October, but it did get to the Breamish in May 2019. So we got the logger back. So that's 2 years. Now, 2020. Remember 2020? Lockdown and all that? Now, I traditionally always started to monitor nests around the 5th of April, perhaps on my birthday, so we'd always started to check the boxes on the 5th of April. Expecting to check 20 odd boxes. It was a full lockdown, we weren't allowed out, so we didn't. However, 13th of May, about lunchtime, we got an email from the PTO saying you're allowed out as long as you're only with one person from your family and one other person. So first thing actually happened was there was no time to get in touch with any trainees or anybody, so Alison and I went out.
Very
We had a
busy.
very busy day. And the 13th of May, the first thing we saw on one of the pools was these Goldeneye ducklings. So clearly they're already hatched. So we weren't going to catch the female, were we? However, we did find where she'd come from. Because we went to a box very, very close by and we found eggs that only just hatched and eggshells. And it was 9. And there was broken eggshells and a single unhatched egg. Now we presume which duck that was, but we can't be absolutely certain. But if we were right in our presumption, she'd previously been nesting 4 years before. And she'd had a logger on as well as they aged. And that's what was left. Now, we also then checked, this is the same afternoon, we checked another box and found a pair of tawny owls. They were ready to ring. They were well alive.
Yeah, they were a bit of a shock.
There was also a single cold goldeneye egg in the nest. So clearly the goldeneye had been shifted out by a tawny owl and it hadn't hatched the goldeneye. But, I say, the tawny owls get what they want. So we actually put some more boxes up in that location since. It's a bit shame that still are, we wrecked them this last year. Anyway, what happened was, with these owls, this is another one, same day, I went to the box and I said to Alison, I'm sure there's more owls in here than I'm finding. There was, just a couple in the nest, and it was quite a mess. And Alison starts laughing, and she says it's above your head. So one of these little blighters had already got out of the nest, and it's talking off. Branched up and sat on the branch. Well, I sort of waved the net at it, and it fell off. Perfectly all right. Caught it, ringed it, and just put it back in the box, so it had to get out again, didn't it? But I don't think that would have hurt it at all. Anyway, so we had tawny owls that day as well as ducks. There's a female. That's another one. Near the caravan site, very public site. One was used by a tawny owl, another goldeneye. We missed catching the female, but she raised 8 ducklings. Another one laid 5 eggs, but failed to incubate them. And another one, which we did ring, and raised 8 ducklings. Yeah, look at both eyes at once. Okay, near Ingram, goldeneye is retrapped.
Sorry.
And she was originally from 2017. There's another box unused. And this is just an interesting point, which we had already come across in reference to barn owls. Jackdaws are generally considered a nuisance and competition for nest sites. But they also have a nasty habit. They do actually like to bury things, including birds and eggs, particularly eggs in sticks. So that's not a habit that jackdaws I like. And it's very upsetting a little bit when you come across it. In this case, it buried the eggs in sticks, and the goldeneye couldn't be back. Anyway, yes, Rotherham we seem to have temporarily lost, because I say temporary because I hope they come back, but jackdaws seem to have occupied all the boxes for the last few years. This last bit here, goldeneye retrapped with geolocator AZ. Now, this was very interesting because she raised 10 ducklings and we actually found them about 17, 15 hours in the evening, in the afternoon, and there she was at the edge of the water with the ducklings having just exited the box. But we reckon only 3 survived. That's normal. But she originally, we ringed her in 2017 when she failed. 2018 she raised 12. We missed her in 2019. 2020 she's back and she raises young. Anyway, we retrieved the logger from that, AZ, and gave 2 seasons data. So it was 4+ years and a logger from her. Then the logger, which we've taken off, we have to break the actual plastic ring to get the logger off. And so here's this duck. It goes all the way to Scotland. And moves around in Scotland. But likes Ireland. The Irish connection again. Comes back. Likes the sea. Goes to Kent. Interesting. But doesn't stay long. Moves up. So there we have a sort of track. Second year. Moves over to Calabrock, estuary, nice place to find food, but comes back inland. One of the deeper locks there. Goes to Belgium. I like this movement. There's some reservoirs there. You find them on maps, so that's where she's gone. But comes back. Logger did stop in November, but was retrieved in May. Upriver 2020, a Goldeneye lays some eggs but doesn't incubate them. Another one missed, but she seems to have raised 6 ducklings, and that one is ringed and raises 7. At Granton, a very public location, lays 7 eggs, but these are predated, and we found a dead juvenile sun thrush cached in the box. Rather odd. Were reported to us, a birdwatcher reported to us, that he'd seen the duck return to the box. And we investigated the box and we found out that she laid a new egg, which is a new egg. Oh, another box there, and just in the jackal stick. Okay, so there's a summary. West for 697, Ruggham and east. So the main part, the main Greenish Valley, had 11 nests. Coming on to the Hedgley side, we only had 2. In 2021, we moved on, 19 breeding attempts, 11 successful, and that's the highest number since the colony started. And the first brood of ducklings was spotted on the 13th of May in Hedgley. But it was a new female, but we had her on the 13th of April. Now this, can you see the duck pointing out? This is a caravan site in Hedgley. This is what is known as peekaboo duck. We were actually checking small boxes. I take trainings around small boxes and we ring the likes of great tits and blue tits and so on. And there are some boxes in the trees here. And this is sort of May. And this duck decided, I'm going to watch what these people are doing. And it watched us. And it put its head back in, put its head out, and watched it. Well, we couldn't get near it, could we? Because it was so alert. And we tried 3 times. The third time, Alison caught the duck in a net. We, somebody, bird watchers, ringers, trainers, we couldn't catch it, but Alison did. So, thank you. And this is the duck. Lovely duck. So that's the sort of note about us catching that goldeneye. Peekaboo duck. She did raise 9. Anyway, then we had another occurrence, 2021. I went to a box, I had 2 other people with me, both experienced ringers, and the first thing that happened was, person went up the ladder, Chris Wright, some of you will know, and he said, there's something odd in this box, Phil, I'm not sure what's in this box. So I said, oh, okay, I'll have a look. So I went up the ladder, and then a stoat jumped out over my head, out the box. Now, the box is maybe no higher than the screen, so it's there. Stoat comes out of my head, hits the ground, runs off. But it is a bit upsetting because we had 3 female birds found cash dead. One is AZ in 2017, and there's abandoned and damaged eggs. We then found 2 neighbouring boxes. So 3 boxes close together had all been predated by the stoat. Bit sad, but I rather presumed something here which I shouldn't have done. I presumed that the box would not be used again that year. I did check it in the 28th of May, and sounds of new eggs. We missed catching the female, different female obviously, but she did hatch 6 eggs. Small number of eggs as well. So stoats are very clever. Stoats can kill Goldeneye, and they can certainly jump out of boxes as well. So 21 summary, 16, and then 3 more at the Hexley plan. 6 new adults ringed and final retrap. So 2021 retrap, 8 AN from 2017, found in the original first box. Anyway, back to those loggers. So 8 out of 9 loggers have been retrieved, and then I got an email. A bird from Scotland sent me a photograph taken up from Musselburgh, not far from Edinburgh, asking me, was this one of my Goldeneye? The missing logger was on the ring AS. So Ian Andrews, that's his name, searched for pictures, and I was convinced by a process of elimination it was AS, but eventually, you see the ordinary PTO ring that side, the logger on the Derby this side. I'm sitting down on it, but it's still there. And eventually you can actually see AS upside down. AS. So that's the one that got away. So in 2016, failed to breed, but in 2017 she raised 10 ducklings, 2018 she raised another 10. We retrieved the original logger on an AA ring, and we fitted the AS. So AS we've never got back. It'll have very interesting log tracks on it if we ever get it back, but unless she comes back, you know, we're not going to get it. So I remind you where that duck actually went previously. So if you see Greenish gone up near Edinburgh, so maybe she likes that area, but I don't know. Yeah, this is yeah, after Storm Arwen. Beyond there, there's 3 tiny duck boxes, which, you know, they're probably completely wrecked and trapped. But that was sort of one of the problems of this year. However, 14 breeding attempts were made, and 11 were successful, which is the same number. So we had lost some boxes, so maybe if we hadn't lost some boxes, we might have had some more. Anyway. First 2 breeds of ducklings seen on the 18th of May, 2 new females. So there's a summary. 11. Rutland, we lost all the boxes in the storm. 3 nests on the Hesby side. 3 new adults bring 6 retrials. Some eggs were predated. We had egg dumping again. So egg dumping maybe is young birds laying eggs they don't know what to do with, they certainly don't know they're supposed to incubate them. Although it may indicate there's a shortage of nest sites. But basically, if there's too many eggs, the original female will not incubate. And certainly 24 out of 1 box. I don't blame the female, she's not going to incubate 24. She usually gets a maximum of about 12 and 14 occasionally. But 10 So that's how it built up. First 3 years there was only one nest. And then another year, 2 years, 2 nests. 2, 4, 8, 11, 13, 19, 14. So that's nests. That's hatched. Ducklings. Fledged, well, yeah, those are maybe optimistic figures. They don't fledge many. But we do like the notes from people who've actually seen them on the water. It did grow a lot in 2021, from 13 to 19 nests. However, it fell back a bit in 2022. The one thing I will say about that is tawny owls did very badly in 21. 21. Tawny owls did very badly. But that was the winter, which doesn't seem to affect the ducks. Well, if you think about where the ducks usually live, in sort of touching the Arctic, they're obviously hardier than tawny owls. So, we seem to have got some problems. Natural predation, stoats, if not by market. Storm Arwen wrecked some boxes and devastated some woodlands, and say the tawny owls were bad in 21, but were back in 22. So we're up with successful nests. So thank you to everyone who supported this work. When I look at the clock. Thank you to the relevant landowners and everyone who's contributed to the cost of boxes. There are some more tracks if you want to see them, but maybe this is the time for people if you want to ask questions. You want to see the tracks? Oh, yeah. Okay, right, keep close to them, Alison.
Right, okay.
AP. I think one of these is especially interesting. Another one that went to Belgium. Maybe it's France, I'm not sure. See if it goes to Ireland. Maybe not. Maybe this one doesn't want to go to Ireland. No, this one just comes back. Oh, it's a bit around now. AX. Gets to Ireland. And again. And eventually returns to the British. Comes back, goes north, goes to Shetland,